Hey, what's up guys, it's Joel from Easy Engineering and welcome back to another video. So today I got a bit of a different one for you and we'll be tackling minimal techno bass lines. Because there's such a variety of them, I've kind of gone in and pre-made some bass lines. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go in and explain the different ones. I used Boris Brejcha as a reference, and I mean honestly trying to get your stuff to sound like theirs it's a mission, but essentially what they're doing is they have a sub bass channel and then a kind of top layer bass channel. Sometimes they're doing the same thing, sometimes they're not. So I've tried the best I can to recreate what I've kind of picked up, but obviously put it into my own unique kind of spin on it, so it's not sound exactly like theirs. Anyway, to dive right in, let's start with the first one. So let's hear it. Cool. So that's what you can hear at the moment. This is the processing chain that I have. This is the sub bass channel. So what we do, we got a kick, and what we've done is we've kind of reduced the tail of the kick a little bit. It could actually be reduced a little bit more because essentially your kick and bass are sharing the same space over there within time and in the same frequency spectrum. So you kind of want these things to gel quite nicely. A great tool which I've been using as of very recently is this, I guess, Mexoscope. Yeah, it's very cool to kind of just see the graph of it, or the scope of it, of the frequencies. And what you want is you want it to kind of look like that, quite consistent, no random spikes. It looks like it's one thing. So if I just solo the kick, there's that kick. It's actually a really nice kick. It's part of my free EDM sample pack. So if you haven't got it already, definitely download it. There's a free link in the description down below. So yeah, check it out. There's some amazing sounds on there. Anyway, yeah, so that's our kick over there. Sub bass. Right, and it's just adding, it's just complementing it. It's complementing it. They're not really fighting, as you can see. I think we can go in a little bit closer. See, it kind of adds on to the waveform of the kick, not really fights to take its space or anything like that. So you got to be, that's the one thing you got to kind of keep in mind when making a sub bass or any kind of kick and bass really, is you want them to gel. So in Serum, it's literally just a sub with a bit of envelope shaping on the filter, and that's literally it really. And then to go into the processing, we've got an EQ, just taking off the low end because you don't want them to fight, you want them to gel. So if you can see here, this is where it's kind of, the kick is taking up most of the space, and so I've taken off, and I would say they kind of cross over like around there. The kick will kind of be more prominent over here, and then so just cutting off a little bit over there just to kind of get them to gel a bit more. I've got an LFO tool. This is acting as a sidechain compressor. I've been using this quite a lot recently. I know I've spoken about it before in another one of my videos, but I've just found that it's actually a lot easier than trying to sidechain compress using a normal compressor. I mean, I still think that sidechain compression using a normal compressor is useful and very important, but this just, it's just ease, it's quick to use and everything. So what I've kind of done is basically you've shaped the sound so it's being dipped out over here and then brought back in, just like a sidechain compressor would do, because obviously over here they're sharing the same space, so you want to kind of clean it up a little bit. And then I've got just to compress the signal of the sub bass. Now moving on to the actual top bass, I guess you can call it. And this is what I've noticed in like a lot of Boris Brejcha's tracks, is he's got like a sub bass track moving and evolving and everything, but it's quite centered, it's quite consistent. Then he's got quite a nice top layered bass sound just acting as a lead over the top of it, also a bass and lead sound kind of thing. And what he does with that is he will modulate like the cutoff filter and just kind of evolve the sound as it goes along. So if you can hear, I've got the filter right down, and I've got a macro assigned to the filter, and I think I've got a macro assigned to the decay, and I think also the release. This is just kind of what my standard things that I assign my macros to. I've got a normal saw wave down 2 octaves, and a basic MDC wave just kind of between a square and a sine, and up 1. I've got the unison up on both, and basically you can do this with your basses. You can split them to the side, because obviously you've got your sub bass to kind of keep in the mono, and that's important. You want your bass to be mono, so you kind of cheating the system a little bit by having 2 basses, one that you can kind of get more creative with, and then another just to kind of act as your sub bass. And this is kind of what happens when you mess around with the macro. Oh yeah, I've got AM kind of assigned to my second oscillator. So altogether, so yeah, that's essentially the starting point that you'd want for one of those kind of tracks. Moving on to the second one. See over here, I've done the sub bass a bit differently. As you can see, I've got an arpeggiator on it. And they're following the same pattern really. It's just I didn't put the arpeggiator on the second layered bass because I wanted a bit more control over it. But going into Serum, this is my sub bass. I got a normal sine, and then I've got FM coming from the sub onto oscillator A, which is the acid waveform down 1, and I've got the envelope control over to the filter cutoff again, just to kind of get that nice little bit of movement going. So yeah, onto the arpeggiator. I've got the arpeggiator. What you can do is you can kind of change it. Oop. Yeah, very interesting. And then obviously some standard processing. Remember, we want to get the kick and bass to gel correctly, so low cut. You could probably go in a bit more and find some resonant frequencies and kind of get a bit more clinical. Compression, and then my LFO tool again, just to kind of give that sidechain compression a bit more, just to kind of get it pumping, and so it doesn't overlap with the kick and with the kick. Onto the top layer. See, I've got this quite cut on the low end up to 200 hertz because I want these to gel nicely too. Same goes for those. You want these to gel correctly, like you can see here. LFO tool doing the exact same. It's literally the same thing because you kind of want that nice consistent swing. I've added a saturator, just a normal preset, saturate and color, very nice, and then some compression, very nice. And then again, obviously going to my macro, and yeah, that's kind of, you know, the foundation of these tracks really. Is just, you know, this kind of format where you got sub bass, you got top layer, and then the top layer kind of evolving over time. So moving on to the third example. So you see here, these are 2 basses that are doing the exact same thing. I kind of wanted to try and get that pulsating bass. So in the sub, just a normal sine wave. I'm frequency modulating it with a normal saw wave. Anyway, I could probably go in and process this a bit more. Obviously, get some of the low end out. Use a fab filter too, just to clean up the muddiness, because remember, when you have so many elements sharing the same frequency space, like, you kind of want to try and get it to sit and gel nicely together, not fight for the same frequency content. And then again with my top bass layer, I've got a saw wave, push up the unison because I want it quite wide. Got acid, down 1 octave, pushed out with the unison, and my macro signed to the filter cutoff again. Yeah, and then onto the fourth example is the nice classic rolling bass line. So what I've done here is, because I like the kick, but I kind of wanted to get the top bit of it and then get my sub to act as the low end of the kick. It's just to clean up the low end a bit more. So I've got it there. I've still got my LFO, but I think I could definitely bring that like that. Yeah, that's cool. Because now I'm dipping the bass out from where the attack of the kick comes in. And I've got some processing on it. Remember, this is kind of acting as a kick and a sub bass. So I've not taken it out too much. And it is literally just a sine wave down 1 octave on the sub oscillator in Serum. And then in Serum for the rolling bass line, I could definitely process this a bit more with some saturation, maybe some multiband compression, and maybe also some compression. But right now it's just a normal saw wave down 1 octave with some envelope control on the filter cutoff. And that's it. So there you have it. I mean, the thing to take away from here is definitely have a sub bass. Make sure that your kick and bass is gelling nicely. They're sharing the frequency space, you know, in the spectrum, and not fighting for it. And get a bit creative with your top layer bass, really. I mean, even your sub bass can be quite, you know, groovy. But it's just kind of approaching it in a different way. So yeah, that's it for the video. I didn't want to make this too long. So yeah, I hope this helped. Hope this gave you a nice insight into how to approach kick and bass for techno. And just have fun with it. Enjoy, have fun. If you like this video, please leave a like or comment down below. And if you want to see more of these videos, then smash that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon.